David, I'm going to come to you first. I bet you quite like the cut of her jib, don't you?
Oh, she's magnificent, isn't she? What a fantastic woman and what a fantastic result for Italy. That's great. I mean, I congratulate all the Italian people and the brothers of Italy for winning the election. I think, you know, she rules in the same way as she gave her speech there, talking about her identity as a Christian, as a mother, as a woman, as Italian. Those are the things we need to get back, which have been really, really undermined by the whole wokery of the last 10 years.
To be fair, I can live without the Christian bit. I can live without that bit.
But I mean, why not? She's a Christian. She said it. I mean, it's okay.
Yes.
Why not?
She got elected on
politics, you know, in this country, if you're a Muslim and a politician, celebrate. If you're a Sikh or a Hindu or Jewish, you can celebrate. But when someone's a Christian, everyone's going, oh well, be a little bit quiet about that.
No,
Why?
it's not that.
Why not? Why not be proud of being a Christian in politics as well?
I quite like. I don't mind that. I completely agree with you. And I have to say, in the last 2 years, some of the people I've been most impressed with have been the Christians who basically bowed to a higher power rather than Boris Johnson. But that's another conversation. But what did you think, Kevin, listening to her talk? Because is it right now to call her a far-right politician? I'm not comfortable with that definition, when what she's talking about is the individual being as important as the collective, and that is a conversation we need to have.
Yes, well, she is really interesting, this woman. Now, maybe I should get out more, Bev, but I've watched a lot of historical speeches, and especially of some of the dictators who around World War II. And what I was quite struck by when you watch this speech from 2019 is that some of her mannerisms and her language and how she defines the challenge as she saw it then of Italy's future. I thought there were definite, you know, it made me think of some more extreme politicians of the past.
What, you mean like Justin Trudeau today?
No, to be fair, I haven't seen Justin Trudeau today, but I think he's a fantastic Prime Minister, but we'll come back to that, right? So her, as the Italian leader, she, all these gender issues that you've really sort of... Did you say your heart sang or your heart sunk when you saw her?
My heart sang.
Did it?
It wasn't... but I was seeing that in isolation, and that's why I wanted to have this discussion, because a lot of us will have seen that clip online today. And I do think it's important to understand who she is completely in the round, 360, and not just to say hallelujah. Because when I do hear things like she doesn't support LGBT rights, of course my alarm bells go off. Well, that's not right. But I think once you then look into it a bit more, what she's saying is that she prioritises the family, the traditional family unit. And I'm all right with that. I'm all right with I'm happy with same-sex families as well. But I'm okay with hearing somebody say the family is important.
Yeah, I think it's fine to say the family's important. And you just said you're okay with same-sex families or single mothers, single fathers. I don't think she is. You know, I think that's the difference.
Right.
And interestingly, that clip, of course, was 3 years old. Since then, she, to get elected, has moved a bit to the centre. I am worried about her partners in government being Putin and pro-Russia, although she's come out clearly on Ukraine. And her biggest challenges are going to be not these so-called woke issues that David is, I may kindly suggest, banging on about today quite a lot. Her challenges are going to be the European billions that her country's received, the energy crisis. That's why they elected her, albeit only 65% of the electorate. That's what she's got to deal with. All this other stuff, I think you should be allowed to say who you are, what your religion is, what you believe in. I don't think it's exclusive, but I don't think she's very cool or is happy to accept the idea of single-sex parents. And I think we've moved on in this country.
Well, she calls herself a modern conservative force, and she says yes to the natural family, no to the LGBT lobby. I like the word lobby. I think that's interesting. She's not saying no to LGBT people. That would be ridiculous. But she's talking about the lobbying. Yes to sexual identity. No to gender ideology. Again, no to Islamist violence. Yes to secure borders. No to mass migration. No to big international finance. No to the bureaucrats of Brussels. It's quite hard to argue. That's... I think a lot of people who sit in the centre of politics would relate to that.
Yeah, all absolutely good stuff. I mean, I would disagree with Kevin there. I mean, the LGBT lobby, as you put it, has actually lobbied to change the laws and introduce same-sex marriage. I'm against that. I think marriage is a man and a woman, which I think is where...
Are you against same-sex marriage?
I am against same-sex marriage.
David,
I think marriage is a man and a woman. No, well, there's a lot of people in 2022 who would agree with me. I'm pro-life as well, and she is as well.
Oh, no.
So, you know, that's another thing. These are sort of
we'll
socially
fall out.
conservative positions, but she also wants to control Italy's borders. I mean, the discussion we just had about immigration, I mean, I think that's a big issue in Italy as well, as it is here. So that's another thing that, and of course, Salvini, her partner in government, will be before that as well. But, you know, you get these smears thrown out like extremist or far right and so on. I've been called far right more times than I can imagine, but, you know, on social media. But I mean, that's ridiculous. People call you far right these days.
But it's a meaningless term now, isn't it?
It is now. I mean, I support traditional family values. I'm pro-life. I support controlling our borders and protecting and defending our heritage and our culture. And I get called far right for that. I mean, the real far right, they go around with the standing army killing people.
That's
I mean,
right.
That's nonsense.
Have we just got to start again with our definitions? The left and right they've become very outdated terms, haven't they?
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, she is ultra-conservative. That's all right to say, isn't it? She's an ultra-conservative politician in those values.
You could say that.
Yeah, and that's not offensive to say that about you, is it? Yeah, socially conservative, ultra-conservative.
Traditionalist, perhaps, in a Western Christian...
Well, tradition, I don't think, belongs to the right, you know. Love of your country doesn't belong to the right wing, in my opinion. But I think, you know... the left in Italy failed to articulate a vision, and she's taken advantage of that.
All right, we've got to see who's coming up next this evening.